Just another long day. I had no idea what was coming my way. The telephone rang, and out of the blue she said, "Why don't you come and sing for us on Barbara and You?" I'm back in my own bedroom. I am really quite the star. I can sing like a canary, and I play a mean guitar. Opera in the shower, every note so loud and clear. Rock and rollin' down the highway is a thing you ought to hear. Yes, I'm going for the big time. If you promise not to laugh, maybe make myself a record and sign my autograph. Turn on the channel to FATV, 'cause for the next 30 minutes it's Barbara and me.
Good evening and welcome to the new and improved Barbara and You show. I am so excited because we are now in the brand new studios of Fitchburg Access TV, and everyone here has been working so hard getting things ready for us to be on the air. And the studio is just fabulous. I hope all of you get a chance to come and see it at some point. So I'm just really excited to be back on the air in the new studio. And a couple of guests who are here with me to start the program are repeat visitors, and it's kind of become an annual thing that we have Lorraine Wickman. Hi, Lorraine.
Hello.
And Carol Perry here to tell us more or update us on the third annual Wachusett Writers Conference. Hello. Welcome.
Thank you.
And we'll want to say a hello to our friend Ruth McCarty, who is unable to be with us tonight. So big hello to Ruth. But Lorraine, this is kind of your baby. You, I would say, are the founder of this annual Writers Conference, are you not?
Well, you might say that, but you know as well as I know that not one person can do something that's successful by themselves. I have a great committee.
Mm-hmm. And this is kind of a offshoot of the LIFE program at Mount Wachusett Community College?
Yes, I'm finding that we're focusing a lot on writing. In fact, we've changed our focus from classroom instruction, as we used to do, to projects. But we still run a writing class and a poetry class. Mm-hmm. And those things feed into a writers' conference.
Wonderful. And Carol, tell me about your involvement.
Well, I've been on the committee for all 3 years, and it's just been so much fun because the committee is a good group of hardworking people, and we meet new people all the time.
I hope they didn't catch my sneeze on TV. Whoa, that was hard to stifle those sneezes. I'm sorry, I am listening to you, Carol. That was involuntary. Anyway, you're saying you do bring in new people.
We bring in new people, and the people that come and attend the conference are always so excited and so interested that it just makes it a lot of fun, makes it worthwhile.
Well, let's have the nitty-gritty, time and place.
We will be holding the conference on October 28th and 29th. The 28th is a Friday night pre-reception, which we'll talk about. Is going to be very interesting. That's at 7 o'clock, from 7 to 9. Then the full conference begins at 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday with a continental breakfast. We'll have the keynote at 9 o'clock. His name is Archer Mayer.
And this is taking place where?
At the Colonial Hotel in Gardner, Massachusetts.
Okay. All right. And yeah, I do want to hear about all the speakers, but I want to make sure people have all that information. So it's Friday night the 28th.
At a cost of $10. It also includes an open mic, and we're going to have something very different this year. We have 2 women that are going to come in period costume representing Anne Bradstreet and Phyllis Wheatley, the first 2 women poets that were published.
In the United States?
Yes. Oh. They were published in England, but they're Americans.
Okay.
One is black and one is white. And Patricia Cosentino and Nazaline Smith are going to take on their roles, and they're going to read from their poetry.
Oh, that's something different this year. A little drama in there.
It is.
Now, do you do a lot of writing yourself?
I do.
What sort of things do you like to write?
Well, I write a lot of poetry, and I write short vignettes. I'm amazed at Carol, who can write a whole book. I can't do that, and she might want to tell you about that.
Yes, Carol, tell us about that.
Well, I wrote one book. It was a historical novel, and I wrote it from my heart. It was so easy to do because I was just dedicated to it. I didn't want to stop writing. Every spare moment I was at that thing, and I was editing it and rewriting it and so forth and so on. Since that time, I've tried writing other books just because I wanted to try writing another book, but I have had to force myself to come up with an idea and a theme. It hasn't been as easy. So I have found that that's a big difference. It was interesting to me to realize that.
Where the first one was just kind of inspired, you almost
Yes.
were compelled to write it.
I felt like that sometimes.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now, as far as being on the committee for the Writers' Conference, Carol, why did you decide to do something a little different this year, like the Friday night drama?
Actually, I think that was up to Lorraine and Pat Cosentino, who both who work for the college, and they came up with the idea, as far as I know, and then presented it to the committee.
Well, you know, I came up with the idea because I know Nazalim and Pat have been friends forever. And I said to Pat, do you think you could come up with something where you and Naz could get together and read from some celebrity poets? And then it evolved. And that's what we came up with, and we're really excited about it.
Yes, that'll be a lot of fun. And Saturday, the 29th, is certainly a busy, full day. And I don't believe we mentioned the fee for attending on Saturday is $75 and $10 if you want to come Friday night.
$10 on Friday night, but on Friday night we'll also have refreshments, and we're going to have an open mic opportunity, and we'll talk about the contest, because the contest winners will be reading their winning pieces on Friday night.
Okay, explain to me about contest.
Maybe you'd like
Carol,
to talk about the
you want to tell us about that?
This year we're having two contests, one poetry and one in short fiction, 1,000-word limit, I believe it is. And there'll be one winner from each category and one runner-up from each category. And the winners will have the opportunity to read their work on Friday night to the group. And I believe they're also planning to meet Archer Mayer the next day and spend some time with him as an additional prize. Yes.
And the prize for the two top winners is they will be our guests both on Friday evening and at the conference.
And now, have the writing competitions been going on longer than the 3 years of the conference?
No, that was born
that's part
as
of the conference. Okay. So now, we get there on Saturday, and you started to tell me about the keynote speaker, Archer Mayer.
Yes.
Tell us a little more about him.
He writes detective mysteries, but Carol has read one of his books just recently, so I think she can better answer that question.
I was interested in his biography, actually. He has a long biography of different jobs. He worked for Paris Match for a while as a photographer in France. He was a medical illustrator for a while. He was a reporter. He's presently the assistant medical examiner in the state of Vermont, possibly in Brattleboro. I think that's where he might live. His books have been translated into 5 languages. He's become quite popular. And but the books themselves are set in southern Vermont, sometimes going up to Burlington. But they're all towns that many of us are familiar with, Brattleboro and Bellows Falls and Burlington. I think he goes over to Montpelier and Barrie sometimes. But he just tears around Vermont, and you know, there's crime everywhere apparently because he has a lot of books out also in Vermont.
But they are fiction.
Yes.
It's not true crime. This is fiction writing. And I see here he's also a researcher for Time Life books.
Yes.
Sounds like he's quite an interesting guy. How did you happen to get him as a speaker? Who wants it?
Well, Ruth really suggested him.
Ruth McCarty.
Ruth McCarty did, and I called him, and right away he was willing to come, and he seemed excited, and that cinched it for me.
I think I'm allergic to something in this new studio. I keep sneezing. Anyway, I'm sorry. He was excited to come and talk.
He was very personable.
That's something over the years I've always noted about successful writers, they like to share
Yes.
with other would-be writers.
Yes.
All
Yes,
except
that's
John Updike. He refused one time to speak at a seminar, and he said, "Oh, I just pity all those would-be writers that don't get published." So he doesn't qualify, but most successful writers
Yes.
do want to come and talk to other
Yes.
writers.
Last year, R.A. Salvatore was the keynote, and who was
was
originally from
wonderful.
Leominster, and he was so generous and so giving.
Yeah.
He could have stayed and talked and answered people's questions for a long time.
Yeah,
Yes.
he was very,
Wonderful.
very interesting, and I will give my unsolicited testimonial that it was a wonderful day last year, and I hope a lot of people take advantage of it. Is there a deadline to register?
Well, our deadline is probably like October 18th, something like that, because I have to give a head count to the hotel.
Sure.
But, you know, if you want to get the workshop you want, it's always wise to register early.
And how do you register?
There are many ways you can register. We have a booklet that we send out, and there's an insert inside, and you're holding that red insert
Yes,
now.
I
There's a
am.
registration form on it, or they may call the college with a credit card, and we would take it over the phone, fill out the registration, and send it by check. Those are the ways.
And then you have some other wonderful people, and you have workshops that are really elective, which is kind of a good idea, and for people like me, it's a dilemma, because I never can decide which one I want to go in. There's so many good workshops.
We're holding
So-
3 workshops in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. And attendees will be able to select 1 in the morning,
Right.
1 in the afternoon.
Right. And let's talk about those workshops. First, I see Jim Beshta, is that how you say that?
Yes.
New Directions for Shop-Worn Writing. What can you tell me about that?
He's a poet.
He's a poet.
Do you know?
I don't know a lot about him because poetry isn't my field. I just know that he has been acknowledged by the Academy of American Poets, and I think he teaches at the Worcester Art Museum.
Yes, he does. Yes. And he served on our first committee.
Oh, really? Is
And
he a
he-
local person?
He lives in Barry,
Okay.
and he was helpful, and he's so humble, and so gifted. So gifted.
Well, this is interesting. It says bring a poem in progress
Yes.
and learn how to edit and make revisions,
Right.
which is sometimes very, very difficult for writers. They say, you know, cutting words out of your own work is like taking blood out of your veins, you know.
It is.
But he's going to help people with
Right.
how to do that.
It's a slightly different theme this year that we've added in that it's a hands-on kind of workshop. So every one of the workshops will
That's
be
true.
inviting people to take some of their work that they want to go over and get some help on.
So it truly is a workshop.
Yes, it is.
That's excellent.
For example, Glenda Baker, who's going to handle short fiction, asks that the attendees that are taking her workshop bring a work in progress, or better yet, send it to her beforehand.
Really?
Yes, and she will make some edits and some suggestions so that when they come to the workshop, they already have something to work with.
Well, Glenda is wonderful, and that is really an asset to the people attending. You're going to get your money's worth. $75, and you have someone like Glenda Baker
Yes.
editing, and she'll even do it ahead of time.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And
So when people register, do you let them know that that's an option? If they want to go to Glenda's workshop, they can send her stuff ahead of time?
No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to contact them myself
After they've registered?
after they registered,
Okay.
yes.
Another thing about Glenda I was going to add is that because she's an editor, she can tell you what editors look for,
Yes.
what they don't like, you know, what you
Right.
should be thinking about if you're submitting things to
Right.
magazines or publishers of any kind.
And then we have another workshop called From Idea to Book. Gary Goshgarian?
He writes under the name of Gary Braver.
Oh, okay.
And he specializes in science fiction and horror. And I like his sort of a phrase, it's a definition of horror. He calls it torments of the mind, which is really the way horror is.
That's interesting.
Yes, torments of the mind. And he belongs to Sisters in Crime, which is an organization that a lot of us belong to. Ruth and I belong to Sisters in Crime. And it's a group that helps women to get recognized in the crime writing field, the mystery writing field. But he's a brother in the Sisters in Crime. And I just wanted to give that a plug. But also, Stephen King, who writes horror, is going to be represented by Sister Loretta, who's going to be talking about his book, Dolores Claiborne, which is my all-time favorite movie. I think I've seen that thing 20 times.
Really?
I think I know it by heart. It's just such a good plot. And she is an aficionado, as it says in the brochure, of Stephen King, and she likes all of his books. I just read the things that aren't quite horror.
And many of us know Sister Loretta from the wonderful work she does with Beacon of
Right.
Hope. And
Yes.
I know
That's
she's been writing a long time. She attended classes way back when I was teaching writing classes.
She also did a Stephen King class for the Life program.
Oh, she did?
Yes, she did.
Now, she'll be doing one session in the afternoon.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so that's the many faces of Stephen King. To back up just a minute to Gary Gushgarian, this is interesting. It suggests that those attending his class should have read his book before attending and bring the book to the workshop.
But it's not actually his book. It's
Oh, that's about the Silence of the Lambs.
Yes.
Okay, so they wow, if you want to go to his class, read The Silence of
that.
the Lambs, which
Yes.
are probably people who've already read it and could bring the book to class. Well, that's interesting. So he's going to kind of dissect, if you'll pardon the pun, dissect that book.
He'll use it as a tool to explain
That's
how
right.
to develop a
Yes.
horror
Very
story.
interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. An interesting theory on the
We
workshop.
thought after having 2 successful conferences that we saw from the evaluations that people really want hands-on.
Right.
They want to know how. They want the tools to do it themselves. So that's why we went in that direction.
And then we have repeats in the afternoon by Jim Bechta. I have Bechta. The Heart of Writing. Do we know? Can we give a little synopsis on what that's going to be about?
I'm trying to
Let
remember.
me see. The Heart of Writing will provide attendees with ideas from Jim on how to be motivated, how to get inspired, and how to use what is around and familiar as topic material.
That's right. I remember that. He told me that. He said so many times we strain for a poem, while if you just look around you, there's poetry everywhere.
Well, we've always taught people, write what you're familiar with.
Yes.
Why make it more difficult?
On the way over to Pat Cosentino's house today, she is the editor of our Tapestries magazine, and we're working on it so that it'll be ready for the conference. She said to me, "You have got to start writing again." She said, "You haven't written any poetry." And on the way over there, a poem was born. I got some thoughts on the way, and so she handed me paper right away, and I wrote down the thoughts. And then, as you said, the words that she put in took my blood away.
Oh, yeah.
I really, really related to that.
Yeah.
And she explained why that's important. And when she was finished, it was still my stuff, but she made me go deeper.
Right.
And that's what our workshop people are going to do. They're going to help you to go deeper.
Right. Yeah, I used to tell my students that you own it. I'll make suggestions,
Yes.
but you own the piece.
Right.
So you don't have to do what I tell you. I'm just trying to be objective here. And then Glenda Baker's afternoon class is called, well, the first one's in the morning, fiction, short and sweet, and the afternoon one is fiction in a flash.
In both sessions, she's going to show you how to take a long piece and really minimize. Always, there are so many people that write with too many articles. The thes, the a's, the ands. Take those out. And she's going to show you really experience. You're going to experience how to do it.
So that would be what we call tight writing.
Tight and 1,000 words.
And there are a lot of contests also that are offered that are called flash fiction, and you have to write the story in 500 words or less, and I think that's one of the things she'll be stressing.
Well, I'm like Lorraine. I can't imagine ever writing a book. I've done a lot of articles. I can't imagine writing a book because it takes a lot of patience to stick with it. But sometimes it's even harder to write those really short pieces.
Oh, I think you're right.
You know what is a wonderful exercise, though, is if you are submitting something that says no more than 2,000 words, and you have 2,450, you've got to cut out 450 words, and it's really a lot of fun to do that, because you realize you didn't need those words. You really didn't need them, and the story is better because you got rid of them.
Some
It's
call it
amazing.
fun, and some call it agonizing.
Yes.
But no, you're absolutely right. Each word needs to take you along the path
Yes.
that leads to the end of the journey, and so there are a lot of unnecessary.
You sit back and you think, this is actually a better piece now. And I never, you never would have believed it when they
Right.
first said cut out 450.
And that's something I'm sure Glenda, as you said, being an editor, will be very, very helpful with. Now, as I recall from the past 2 years, that conference is one very busy day, because not only do you have the workshops and the keynote speaker, but there's a lot of little perks. You have a lot of things, giveaway things.
We
there are
do.
people autographing their books.
We do. And then we always have this wonderful raffle.
And a wonderful lunch, too.
Yes.
The lunch is
Yeah,
fabulous.
we've got to mention that.
Fabulous lunch.
And what are you raffling?
Well, it's a surprise.
Oh, it is.
We have a lot of wonderful things that are going into it, but to tell would not be a good idea.
Well, plus you probably don't have all the things in there.
Well, we have a lot. We do have a lot. We do.
Yes.
But we can say that they're all things that writers
Writers.
and readers would love.
Yes, yes. There is a theme to the basket. Yes. I don't think we talked about the contest and how to enter.
Yeah, let's tell
do
the viewers
that.
about that.
Okay, you started to talk about the contest, the genres, and
Yes, I did mention that we're going to have a short story segment of it, which is 1,000 words or less, and then a poetry segment, which I think was 30 lines limit. I think.
yes.
And the deadline is October 1st to get them in.
Oh, not much time.
Not too
Get
much
to working,
time left.
folks.
Yeah, we have been trying to distribute flyers around the libraries and high schools, the
Colleges.
housing for the aged,
Yes.
all that type
We've
of thing.
done
So
that.
hopefully, they're working on them right now.
And if anyone wants to get a booklet, all they have to do is call me or email me, and I'd be happy to send them a life booklet. And in it will have all the things you need to know about all of it.
Okay.
Also, we have a website. Our life website is life.mwcc.edu. And if you go into that website, you'll see all the submission guidelines, both for the contest and for tapestries. The whole booklet is there for you to look at. So any information is there, or please feel free to call me at college or email me.
Who judges the competition?
We have two
The committee?
judges.
Oh, Carol's one. Okay.
Yes. And Sharon Harmon's
Sharon
the
Harmon.
other.
Oh, Sharon's wonderful too.
She's a
Yes.
poet, so she'll be looking at a lot of the poems.
Carol, that's very time-consuming, isn't
It
it?
is, yes, and it's not the only contest that I judge. So, but it teaches one a lot about good writing, what's good and what isn't good.
Can you tell right away when you?
Yes,
See
I
a
think you
piece?
can tell within the
Really?
first paragraph or so.
And
Really?
if it's not very good when you start out, do you still force yourself to hang in there and read the whole thing?
It's
You
know
don't
it's,
need to.
it's serendipity though. Sometimes it doesn't seem to be very good, but something about it says this.
Keep going.
There's a seed here. I want to see where
Yeah.
it's going.
Yeah. I also want to make sure we mention, Lorraine, about your TV show in Gardner, Senior Moments, that is on the cable Channel 8 in Gardner, right?
Yes.
And
It's WGET for those
okay.
who live in Gardner.
okay, so that's something that you do on a regular basis.
I interview people who have made a difference. That's the rationale for my guests, people who have volunteered of their time. We call it Senior Moments because when you think of senior moments, you think of forgetfulness. But
Oh,
this-
that's true. People use that phrase. I just had a senior moment.
right.
Yeah,
But I'm
okay.
saying that these are the moments that have made, that seniors have made count. We also have a weekly column in the Gardner News, and people write for that column. They send their things to me, and they get published.
You are one busy lady. Aren't you supposed to be retiring?
What's that word mean?
Good girl. But you do have a lot going on. What's your fondest hope for the future of the writers' conferences?
Just for the conferences? Mm-hmm. Well, I think that if somebody catches on, even one person comes to the conference and catches on, and it motivates that person to get their stuff published, I think we've been successful.
Mm-hmm. There's no thrill like the first time you're published.
I imagine.
Yeah. You imagine? You
I imagine that.
Well, you get back to writing.
Well, I have been published in Tapestries,
Right.
and I have been published a few other places, and that is a thrill to see your name in
Did we mention about the special rates at the hotel for those who want to
No.
stay
Oh,
overnight?
that's interesting. Yeah, you're having it at the hotel.
It's at the
with
hotel.
a Friday night event. Some people may want to stay.
Yes, some people do every year. There are groups of people. For a single room, it's $85 for the night. For a double, it's $99, and that includes dinner on Friday night and breakfast Saturday
you
morning.
imagine?
Wow.
And then the
that's
registration for the workshop includes lunch, so you're well
I
fed
know.
during the whole thing.
It's a good idea. Sometimes, like last year's runner-up, the whole family came and spent the weekend.
Yes, that's right,
And
too.
I go and spend that time. I'm able to quiet down before everything starts. It's very relaxing.
Plus, you have so much to do. Better to be right there on site.
Right. And there's a nice swimming pool, and it's a very
A
pretty
lovely
place.
restaurant and lounge
Yes,
area.
very, very nice place.
Well, let's recap all the details, Carol, of what, when, and where.
Okay. Let's see, it's going to be Friday and Saturday, October 28th and 29th. Friday night is 7 to 9, and that's where we have open mic and refreshments and just get to meet each other and mingle a little bit. Saturday starts at 8 a.m., goes through till 4, and believe me, the day just flies by once you get started. There's so much going on, so many people to meet, and so much good feeling. And then we'll have the contest winners announced, and
Those people will read their winning work on Friday night also.
Right.
And then don't forget about Ann Bradstreet and Phyllis Wheatley, who will be present on Friday night in period costume reading their poetry. That's going to be
yes.
really fabulous.
And Nazaline Smith, who's going to be
Yes.
doing Phyllis Wheatley, is such a gifted poet on her own. She absolutely knocks you out with her poetry.
She's so dramatic.
Yeah.
And I mean, those eyes just flash at you and you're taken in.
And how do people register?
They can call the college with a credit card and tell them they'd like to register for the Wachusett Conference.
And that your number is 978-630-9176.
That's right. If they call me, I can help them with registration, or they can fill out a registration form and send it in with a check.
Okay, are the registration forms available anywhere other than the college? Or you could mail them
Well,
to them?
I could mail them, yes. They're everywhere, really, hopefully.
They've been spread around
Oh, okay.
to the
But
libraries.
if they
as I
can't
said
find
before.
one, please just get to me and I will make sure they get one.
And this says the deadline is October 14th.
Probably.
How many people, do you have a limit to how many you can accommodate?
What was it last year, 180 or something like that?
I was
Something
thinking it
like
was around
that.
200.
I think it's around 200, yes.
Okay. And then also you had mentioned you have a website as well, Lorraine?
Yes.
I'm looking for that.
It's life.mwcc.edu,
Okay.
and that'll give them everything they need.
And additionally, just before we close off this half hour, what other things do you have going on at the LIFE program?
We're doing a lot of intergenerational things, and I'm so excited about it. I developed one in the spring, which was an intergenerational writing project that matched a senior writer with a young writer. And together, independently, they wrote about a one-word topic. And then they swapped their work via email and critiqued each other, each draft, until the final draft. And when they were both happy with the work, the senior mailed both pieces to me, and I used them in my column.
Oh, wonderful.
This fall, we're going to continue that, and this fall we're creating a new one, and it's an intergenerational arts project, which matches a senior artist of all different genres with 2 elementary school students. I have photography and scrapbooking and knitting and quilting and calligraphy and mixed media art and drawing, and there are a lot of them. So we're going to have a sign up, and the three of them, the two students and the senior, will produce a work in that genre, which we will have in an exhibition later.
Now, they'll actually work together, because with
Yes,
the
they will.
writing, they can email each other
No,
with
this
artwork.
is going to have a very different format. They will meet once a week for 2 hours for 6 weeks.
Amazing.
That is so exciting.
Now, I see a lot of other interesting things going
We
on
have
here.
a trip going
Historical
on.
tour.
Yes, we're going to the JFK Museum in November, and the current exhibit is going to be JFK in World War II. So we're going to have somebody board the bus that's going to talk about World War II.
Okay. What are Mount Walkers?
We have a very active walking club. It's about 40 strong. They meet and walk together once a week, and we do a lot of extracurricular activities with walking. We're trying to start a bicycle club. So anybody can join that's 50 and over at any level.
Wow, you've got a lot going on up there.
Yes,
So
we
people
do.
should call at the college.
Yes.
Ask for Lorraine Wickman.
Yes.
And get involved in any of those many programs.
Right.
And thank you both for creating this writers conference, because I know it benefits so many people.
Thank you.
So we'll expect you back again next year when we talk about the 4th annual. And Carol, thank you for all your
Thank you for
help.
having us. Thank you.
You're ready to sign on for another year?
We'll see.
We don't want to say that.
Well, thank you both, and good luck with the conference, and talk to you soon.
Thank you for having us.
And I hope many of you will take advantage of this wonderful opportunity. And now, if you'll just stay tuned, I'll be back with my next guests. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Have a good time at lunch. Don Juan did. Rob?
Look at it this way.
I looked. 36, 24, 36.
The cigarette girl. She was telling me how many smokers have changed to filters.
And how popular Kent is?
And I told her how Kent satisfies best.
Oh, the repartee. Why hasn't some man asked me about Kent cigarettes? Or at least offer me one.
Okay.
Thank you.
The Dick Van Dyke Show has been presented by Kent Cigarettes. Kent with the Micronite filter. The cigarette that gives you filter, taste, and pleasure.
Big shows are always great, and this week we've got a really big show of stars planned for you, so don't miss our Ed Sullivan Show.
Great Nuts breakfast time.
Good. Crunchy little nuggets bursting with nut sweet flavor.
Well, first we got to exercise them.
Do we have to?
That's our agreement. We got to keep slim and trim. It helps to eat the right kind of foods, like a post-Great Nuts breakfast.
I do, honest.
And we got to exercise.
How all?
You want your post-Great Nuts?
Barn.
Come on.
A Grape Nuts breakfast fills you up, not out. 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 Fills you up, not out.
Delicious.
The Andy Griffith Show was brought to you by Post Cereal. Another fine product of General Food.
The instant breakfast drink with new natural orange flavor.
Drink Tang, gang. It's Tangerific.
I'm Yosemite Sam, and our craves a shot of red eye.
Sorry, Doc. We only serve Tang here.
Tang? What's that?
It's new, natural orange flavored Tang. Greater than ever for breakfast or any other time.
Yeah? Show me, Rabbit.
Easy. Just mix with cold water.
All right, but I'm aiming not to like it. It's delicious.
It's even better when you chill a pitcher full all night in the refrigerator.
Yeah? Well, give me some of that, too.
Here's how.
Okay, you cotton-tailed rattlesnake, dance.
All right, but I gotta have me trusty rope. All right, I'm dancing. It's the end of the line for you, pal.
Can't I have just one more glass of Tang before I go?
One glass always leads to another. Drink Tang, gang. It's Tang.
Welcome back to the Barbara and You Show. I'm Barbara Roy, and my guests for the second portion of our program tonight are from the International Association of Administrative Professionals. And we have with us Amy McDougall. Hi, Amy.
Hi.
And Pauline Pellerin. Did I say it right, yes. Pauline? Thank you. And Pauline, I remember you were here, I believe, just when this local chapter was starting up. Was that when you were on the show before?
Right, it was, I believe, the first meeting was in May of 2004. So I believe we came maybe in April of 2004. And we initially started the chapter in Gardner. We didn't get enough interest there, so we started the chapter in Leominster.
And you call it the
Appleseed chapter.
And how's the first year been going?
Pretty good. We're actually just starting our full year in September, and but it's been going very well, and we have a lot of interest. So we're very excited.
And Amy, have you been on board since the beginning?
Since the beginning. I was very excited when it started happening, and I certainly supported it right from the beginning.
Is this something you had known about before the local chapter started?
Yes, actually, I've been a member of the International Association of Administrative Professionals since about 5 years ago. I had found the organization in a search that I did on the web, looking for a professional organization for administrative assistants. And when I found that there was a chapter in the Route 128 area, I decided to go to their meeting and find out about them. And one thing led to another. I joined them, and when excuse me, when this group was forming, I definitely wanted to be part of it.
And we also wanted to say hello and thank you to Phyllis Germont, who was unable to be with us. She's on vacation, isn't
That's
she?
right.
Good for her, but we miss you, Phyllis. I know she was very instrumental in getting the group off the ground as well. Amy, did you say you found a group on the internet? Why did you want or need to join such a group?
Sure. I really was looking for, I think, peer support. I was looking for people who were in the same profession that I was, but who also took it as seriously as I did, and who wanted to expand their horizons and network with other people and brainstorm. And this was one of the ways in which I knew that I could do that.
And how about you, Pauline?
I first heard about it when I was in college. I was actually in the student chapter, and I was part of the Administrative Assistant Week in college, and I've been a member ever since, and that was back in the 90s. I've been a member over 15 years.
Now, for both of you, and pardon me for stating this way, because I certainly don't mean to offend anyone, but administrative professional, is that another name for executive secretary?
Yes, in the association you can have a whole bunch of different titles. You can have project managers, you can have office managers, you can have...
okay.
My title is actually QA administrator, which is quality assurance administrator. I'm not an executive assistant, even though I could, it's the same responsibility and the same skills. So you have nowadays you have different titles for different business that you work for. So you could be a secretary too,
Yeah, well, I spent many years working as an executive secretary, and I am so grateful for the skills I learned in order to do that. Are skills that I employ day in and day out in my real estate business. But I loved it when I was working in that field. Is it a career path that each of you have chosen, and that's where you wanted to end up, or did it just kind of evolve from circumstances?
Well, I went to college for it. That's exactly what I wanted to do. I like the whole idea of, different responsibility. It's a challenging job. It's you learn something new every day. You have to be on top of the technology, the computer skills. So you're always going to school or taking classes. And it's definitely something that I wanted to do. And the more that you have more experience and the more responsibility you have, and then you can work for presidents or VP, and it could be different it could be medical, it could be business, it could be lawyers. You can go in different fields. So it's very interesting, and I would recommend it to anybody. It's a very good feel. I like it.
How about you, Amy?
Absolutely. There are so many different things that you can do in this field. I studied French and economics when I was in college, and during my most recent position, one of the things that I did was I helped the president of Sterilite Corporation, who I was supporting with some of his international accounts. And so I was able to use that knowledge that I gained during school directly, and it was just so much fun. And I think that one of the challenges in being an administrative professional these days is, like Pauline had said, keeping up on things and making sure that when you need information that you have a source that you can go to and ask questions that you can rely on. And that's one of the things that I like IAAP for, because I know that the other members are up to date and as knowledgeable and very detail oriented, so they've checked everything out as well. So if I ask a question and they say this is what I think would work well, I can count on what they say.
Okay, so you do some brainstorming and,
Sure.
and networking and sharing of information. Mm-hmm. Do you think that as in most any other job, it makes a big difference who you're working for, who is your direct supervisor? Because if it's the right person, it's a wonderful job. If it's the wrong person,
Exactly.
you hate to go to work.
I think it can, but I think also that if you have in your mind what you'd like to do, either in a different job or with a different person, that as long as you keep your mind on your focus on that goal, it can help you get through situations like that.
Mm-hmm. If you happen to tune in late, we are speaking about, I like the way you said it, IAAP, yeah. International Association of Administrative Professionals. We're speaking with Pauline Peller and Amy McDougall about the local Appleseed chapter. How many people, how many members do you have in your chapter?
I believe we have we started at 16. We only needed 15, so we had one more.
Uh-huh.
And I believe we must be between 18 and 20 right now.
Mm-hmm. And how often and where do you meet?
We meet the third Wednesday of each month at Slattery's in Fitchburg, 5:30 for networking, 6 o'clock for the presentation. We usually have a guest speaker come in and speak. It is dinner and a presentation, and we order off the menu at Slattery's.
Mm-hmm. What sort of program do you have? What sort of speakers? Can you give us some examples?
Sure, exactly. This coming year, we have a professional and personal coach coming in from the Worcester area. He started a coaching school, which is a very new but growing profession. We also have someone from Office Team coming in. IAAP has a partnership with Office Team. They provide temporary administrative support and have offices here in Massachusetts and throughout the U.S., but they have come in and spoken with us. For example, one of the presentations they did was 10 ways to communicate better with your boss. And we all could use ways to communicate better with everyone, whether it's your boss or not. But especially at work, those tidbits really help. Mm-hmm. And so we have people from various professions come in that will be able to, we feel, contribute to the value of our members' mm-hmm. experiences.
Mm-hmm. What I neglected to ask each of you to tell us about your current positions.
Yes, I'm still at the same place as the last time I came. I'm still at Future Electronics in Bolton. I've been there over 6 years, and I'm the administrative assistant to the director of quality assurance. And I do very different things, and from travel to data entry to meeting organizing and presentation. Actually, I do make presentation once in a while. And like I said, I've been there 6 years, and I like it. It's going very well.
Sounds like no 2 days are alike.
Exactly.
And you like that.
And it changes year per year. You know, there's always new projects, and what was new is now old, and there's always something new that comes out.
Mm-hmm. And Amy, you're to be congratulated on a new position, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Last Tuesday, I was elected as the town clerk of Shirley.
An elected official?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful.
It was quite an experience, and I'm very, very pleased. So I've been working at the town offices since last Wednesday. Before that, for 8 years, I worked at Sterilite Corporation as their executive secretary.
But is Sterilite in Townsend?
Sterilite's headquartered in Townsend. They are a national corporation. They have 6 other facilities throughout the U.S. And they supply, they manufacture plastic housewares, such as tote bins, Clearview storage drawers, things that you probably have in your home. And it was a wonderful experience to be there for 8 years.
And so why go from there to running for an elected position?
Well, I think that the position of town clerk doesn't become, generally isn't open very often in an uncontested situation. In Shirley, the town clerk was retiring, and so there was an opportunity for people to come in and say, hey, you know, I think I'd be good at this. And I took advantage of that and mounted a campaign and convinced enough voters, apparently, of my good intentions and of my qualifications. I think that generally my background is in administration and in organizational fields, and you need that. You need communication skills, you need an awareness of the community, and all of that kind of came together for me. So I'm very excited.
You're a Shirley resident?
I am.
Yeah. Do you both have families?
Yes.
Yeah? Tell me.
I have a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Oh my goodness. And work full time.
And we're full time. And then weekends are hockey and skating.
Of course.
And then we start again on Monday.
Wow. How about you, Amy?
I have a 2-year, 4-month-old. And she's the love of our life. Things have changed so much since we had her. But right now we're enjoying having some family time after the busy campaign.
Well, now, with being the town clerk of Shirley, how does that compare to your executive position at Sterilite? A heavier workload, a lighter workload, different responsibilities, similar? How's that compare?
I think right now it's just a different set of responsibilities. In the same way that at Sterilite, my responsibilities were seasonal, and that there are certain peaks and valleys in the year. There are certainly peaks and valleys in the municipal year. We have a town meeting coming up in the fall. We have annual census to do in January. We have elections the following spring. I think that I'm looking forward to getting into the new routine, and as far as similarities, the position that I had at Sterilite was very much of a position where I dealt with a number of different departments, and so I would really interact from people from marketing to sales to finance. And when you're in municipal government, especially as a town clerk, you really are the first person that people call to say, who is it that I really need to speak with? And so you're also involved in communicating with those departments and in knowing what's going on with them and referring people to the right areas. And I love helping people. It's very rewarding personally to me.
Might this lead to other positions? Are you going into politics?
No!
No, it's kind of a frightening thought, or what?
No, the town clerk's position is unique in its administrative roles, and that's really what attracted me most to it, because that is where my strengths lie. And so that really is my interest.
One of you mentioned, I might have been you, I think it was you, Amy, about one of your speakers was from I believe you said a temp agency?
Yes.
And in my past experience many years ago, having worked for a couple of temp agencies, I thought it was a wonderful opportunity to get an inside look at a company, and very often they will hire someone who's been there as a temp, and you kind of have that advantage of having worked there for a few days and finding out if it is in fact something you would like. Where other jobs, if you go on an interview, you really don't know that much about the company. Have either one of you had any experience with working as a temp?
Yes, actually where I am now, that's how I started.
Is it?
Yeah, and it was not a couple of days. You had to work for 3 months. And then they would decide, either parties, both parties, if I wanted to stay or they wanted to keep me. So yes, it's very, and I could have decided, no, I don't like it here, and then just go on to the next. I had just a few experience with it, but I like it. I think it's like you say, it's a good idea. You can get the feel, and if you like the people, the people are very important. And nowadays the traveling, if you like that. So there's a lot to consider when you take a new job, and it's a full-time job, and I think that's a very good idea to start with the temp agencies.
Let me ask you both about, you had mentioned, or I see a note here, that you have websites.
Yes, the International Association of Administrative Professionals has a website for their international membership, and that would be at www.iaap-hq.org.
Let me check that.
Yes. And that has information about the organization as a whole, its history, what it offers as membership benefits, what you would be able to do if you were looking for further training, what training they offer. And then there is a New England regional website, which is also wonderful to visit because it has specific information about the chapters in this area and what presentations they are planning for the coming year.
And that would be GNE Division -IAAP.org.
Yes.
That's the New England version of the national. And both of them, as you say, offer additional information?
Yes. They offer information about joining. They offer information about specific activities that you could participate in. They also give you a sample of the wonderful Office Pro magazine that IAAP publishes. It's an award-winning magazine. It has very relevant articles to the office professions, and there's a little sample of that if you wanted to look at it.
Is this an organization of all women?
No. Actually, the Route 128, I think, is the president is a guy.
Really?
Yeah, I think they have a few. Unfortunately, we don't have. We have an all female in our group, but we're welcoming anyone from any field that wants to join us. It is both.
Okay. Amy, you mentioned on the website you can get additional information, and you are having an information night coming up.
We have an information night coming up on the 28th of September, and we would love to have anyone who's interested join us. The information night will start at 5:30 with networking.
Again, that's at Slattery's where you hold your monthly meetings.
Yes, that's right. And then at 6 o'clock we'll have the presentation. And basically for this particular evening it'll consist of a presentation about the International Association of Administrative Professionals, the advantages of joining, the opportunities for leadership development skills, the opportunities for continuing education, both online and through conferences and through chapter meetings each month. There'll be a representative from our New England division there who'll give a formal presentation on it. And she's a wonderful speaker. She's from New Hampshire, and she's been in IAAP for like 10 years, I think. And I think, just as an aside, that was one of the things that was most amazing about IAAP is meeting people that have been in the profession and are really someone that you look up to.
Now, at this informational night and also at the meetings, is there a fee involved?
The informational night itself, there's no fee, but if you would like to order dinner for yourself, then you would need to pay
So
off of the menu.
everybody just pays their own dinner off
That's
the menu.
correct.
Are there dues to belong to the AAAP?
Yep, we have chapter dues of $92 a year, and that includes a subscription to the Office Pro magazine and a national membership.
Mm-hmm. And who should come to this information night?
Oh, sure. There are so many people who are in this field. It really starts with people on the front line who are answering the phones, who are administrative professionals, what am I trying to say, receptionists, to quality assurance.
Right, in the medical fields,
Yep.
You can have like assistant to lawyers. You can have, we have a lot of medical field professionals in our chapter, but anybody can join. And if you're just curious and want to know if it is your association that you would like to join, you don't really know if they would talk about what would interest you, they can come to the information night on, it's next Wednesday, and they can ask any type of questions, and then they can decide if it's something, and they can maybe bring something to the group too, bring something to the chapter, you know, bring some friends and say, you know, this is something that we would like to have a speaker on, and then, you know, we're open to, it's a new chapter, we have no base, and we're open to any suggestions, so you make it your own.
Many companies have weekly or monthly admin meetings. So anybody who falls into that category that would go to an admin meeting is a candidate for your club. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to suggest it to our staff at the real estate company. I've made a note of that. Next Wednesday, September 28th, 5:30 at Slattery's. Now, I asked you who should attend. Now I'm going to ask you why should they attend?
I believe that, like Phyllis had said when the first meeting, is you learn a lot of skills. You learn, you know, leadership skills. Actually, when I had the idea to start the chapter, I had never even attended a meeting, so I didn't even know. But I just know by online, going on their website, that they offered a lot of information. And you can go to workshops, and it's not expensive at all. You know, you can have a workshop for $20, and you can talk about communication, leadership. You can, you know, tune up on your presentation skills. There's a lot of information, and just the networking. You know, you just want to go out and meet somebody from your professional. You think you have the worst boss ever, but then you start talking to people, and everybody's the same, and you know, they have just all the same responsibility and organizational skills. So you get to know a lot. You can, like I said, you can do whatever you have to with the chapter. You make it your own, and if it's education you're looking for, if it's, you know, communication skills, and just add and, you know, give us your ideas, and we'll make it good.
Well, like so many groups, I hesitate to use the term a support group, but it is true that people who are doing what you're doing have an understanding, just like we were talking earlier about writers being together, administrative personnel. It's great to share ideas and be with other people who understand. So very quickly, Amy, before we let you go, if people want more information, may we just give your phone number?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, you can reach me at 978-425-4375.
And if you didn't get that, contact me and I'll put you in touch with them. But next Wednesday at Slattery's, 5:30, be there. And I hope you'll be here next Tuesday evening, which I didn't write it down. I'm trusting my memory. My guests are going to be Joanne Connors-Wade, who is an author who's come out with a very intriguing book, and we'll talk about that next week, and also a few people from home staff here in Fitchburg. So I'll be here. I hope you'll join me. This is Barbara Roy saying good night and God bless you.
I was sitting at work, just another long day. I had no idea what was coming my way. The telephone rang, and out of the blue she said, "Why don't you come and sing for us on Barbara and You?" Back in my own bedroom, I am really quite the star. I can sing like a canary, and I play a mean guitar. Opera in the shower, every note so loud and clear. Rock and rollin' down the highway is a thing you ought to hear. Yes, I'm going for the big time. If you promise not to laugh, maybe make myself a record and sign my autograph. Turn on the channel to FATV, 'cause for the next 30 minutes it's Barbara and me.